Welcome to TradeTheNBI.com. This is Jonas Reports for the 10th. Well, we're looking for a little softness as we saw the rise in the cyan. That wasn't anything critical. We were kind of looking to the ABM, but we also had some algo numbers right around 2880. So it's not uncommon when you hit that. Sometimes you can get a carry through. If we had made it over the 29, you would have expected to move towards the 29.20 range before pullback, but in this particular case, it kind of hit there just as a hard bounce and got rejected back to the ABM line. And it was right in par because we were talking about this with the Azure on the shakeout. When that gold and then the Azure meet, usually you have that little moment of reckoning because it's sort of a confluence of algo activity, and boom, there you have it. This is so minor as to hardly be relevant. But the interesting key for us is going to be to watch decay in the red DOCs on either NASDAQ or Dow. S&P going back here, we were still way elevated areas. Even if we get a DOC spread, you're going to need to see that roll over, and particularly with most of the steels reset. The potential for another breakout move to the upside is still very real. Euros, it's just going to maintain this flatness. It's a pretty decent bounce back from the DOC red, but you got to clear this peak back up here above the 7.5 range, which is right up in there. So, a little ways to go. If it does spike for some reason, that will definitely help the S&P, but I wouldn't expect anything unless you have some dramatic Brit exit news. Always the Brit exit news. But most people are positioned for a modest weak side for it, because also if the European Union is just not growing like the U.S. economy is. And from a gold standpoint, still a slight elevation. This was a decent buy, but we know it's not going to last very long because of that dip below the red line. That even a push back up is likely to come back and retest there. So it's the current of that. Pretty straightforward from a day standpoint. There wasn't a whole lot to do. You ended up with the DOC spread really at the start. There was a concern moment right about here where it looked like you could get a pop, but immediately beautiful spider straight down. And that broke us all the way to, guess what? The 2880. That's right. And then we caught a decent crossover. There it is. It's pretty clean when we talked about this yesterday, in fact, that yellow crossing over that magenta with the at least 2-point spread, and then still having the shakeout histogram below the negative 13. Those tend to have a little bit of course, you can see here, there was plenty of opportunities to enter, and you'd be feeling kind of sketchy on all of it. That's why I like when you're in between that 0.23, is somewhere split in the middle of it or at the slightly low end, if you're able to capture it, is definitely the way to go. With the dip below the red line, you knew that at least you'd be attempting to retouch that, at least from the open of this bar, which it did right over here. And it just took a while. Oh my goodness, it's like trying to paint that bar after bar, up and down, up and down, up and down, with no real, other than just the continued rising, red DOC, and then boom, as we continued. Meeting point came right here. We had another slight little breakout, and then they met one more time, and that was the end of it, and went right back down to the same spot. So, from a range standpoint, not a whole lot, but enough to be able to make some 7-8 point plays, which is pretty decent still. No objection out whatsoever. And what we see in the current pre-market is just a return right back up to the same peaks on a nice improved shakeout throughout the whole setup. Interesting to have had the dip below the red line right here at the 2880, so we may be seeing that again even before market opens. I would expect, even if market opens, to revisit that area. So that's the long and the short of it for now. Wasn't anything special going on with 50K in that. We could see the weakness that had built into that one before. It's taking advantage of buying into those. Not thrilled 100% with that. Prefer more what the SPY setup is going to do, but there's just subtle adjustments to make on it. Nothing overly dramatic. I will put up anything relevant on the Skype chat. There wasn't a whole lot from this to really talk about because it was pretty much everything we've gone over. Trade well. We'll talk again later.